This conference will now be recorded.
So welcome to our ANCAN blood cancer virtual meeting, the first one of 2023. And I just have a really good feeling about our meeting tonight and that it's going to be filled with not only great info and conversation, but also we always usually seem to have some fun as well, especially our last one. That really was fun. So in addition to learning and helping each other, so, and that's how we kind of keep our sanity as well, right? As patients. So
that's debatable.
keeping our sanity.
Sanity is.
Yeah, I think I lost mine a while ago, or it ashed the day I lost count, 6 or 7 recorded programs in one day across 6 different disease areas. I was like, wait a minute, what am I talking about right now? So yeah, I think I lost mine if I still had any. But welcome. Sally I'm in Boston. I'm Michelle Nadine Baker, and I have chronic lymphocytic leukemia. We're a group of all different blood cancers here. And I'm going to turn it to my co-moderator, Sally.
Hi, I'm Sally, and I have multiple myeloma, and I am currently in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And Herb. Herb is our, I don't know.
Moderator.
Is he our overseer?
Hi, I'm Herb. I'm working with ANCAN in various areas, but my brother has multiple myeloma, so I'm sitting in for him.
Which is very nice. Yeah, because our group is for not only patients, but for loved ones as well.
Care partners.
I like that much better than caregivers.
So do I.
All right, so Joe Rosenbaum. Oh, hi, Joe. Your camera is off. I don't know if you want to turn it on, but I see we have some new people this evening. Ooh. And I want to welcome you all. So Cindy, I don't believe I've seen you before in an ANCAN meeting. Have you been to one?
No, this is my first time.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi. Welcome. We will, I'm going to do a check around with everyone to see if they want time to gauge on how much time to divide for everyone. Cindy, we would love for you to introduce yourself once we get back to everyone. Okay. Would you like to do that? Okay.
Sure. I'm Cindy, and I live in North Carolina, Columbus, North Carolina, right on the South Carolina border. And I have CLL. I've done my first round of treatment and back in wait and watch, I guess, for about a year and a half, and had my appointment today, which is kind of interesting with my hematologist.
Well, we'll come back to you and you can share that with us. I would love to hear about that, especially since you're in my disease area. Also, Colleen, have you been at any of our meetings previously?
No, actually, I was just on Facebook and it was the first thing that popped up, and I'm like, and then I was like, well, that's today, and that's just in 5 minutes. I'm like, well, I'll just kind of join.
I'm so glad that we have faith in Facebook again.
Well, I'm not on Facebook very often. I'm not a big Facebook person. I'm more Instagram, but yeah, so I just checked and I was like, oh yeah, I'll come on it. I live in North Carolina as well. I live in Greensboro. And I do the another group that's on Facebook, the blood cancer group. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually in a ton of groups. But I have CLL as well. Diagnosed in 2018. I've been through 2 treatments, but I never get through them. So, for reasons.
We'll have to hear more about that when we come back to you and see what you're doing right now. And do we have anyone else? I'm not seeing anyone else that's new. Not yet anyway. Okay. We may have other people joining us who had told me they may, and they would be, so we'll see when we get to them. All right, so quickly, who to see who would like some time this evening. Judy, okay. We will make sure we have time for you. Jerry,
Just real brief.
okay. Ashley in Central Park,
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
okay. And I don't know, Joe, are you there? Or your wife? Okay, we'll come back to them in a minute. Jim, do you need time tonight?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Oh,
And
Germany just arrived.
Yep.
yes. Oh my gosh. It's got to be so late. Lou, we would love to hear from you. I'm volunteering you for time. Okay.
I mean, other things have happened in the last month and a half that Sally was referring to that I don't know that anybody else has had this situation. So it'll be something to share.
Well, I think it would be, we want to know, I mean, we haven't seen you. We've had so much that's happened
I know.
since, so we have lots to catch up on with you. I mean, I see things on Facebook, but all that you've been through, I think would help others. Okay. Everyone's like moving around on my squares now since we have Barbell. What time is it there? Hello and welcome.
15 minutes past 2 o'clock in the morning.
You ever sleep?
Sometimes.
Wow. That's wonderful. Thank you for being with us. And we're just going around to see who needs time, and then we'll start with our newbies tonight. But would you like to spend some time this evening speaking, Barbell, about where you're at in treatment and how you're feeling? And we'll come back to you after.
I could say a few things, yes.
Okay. All right. So just what everyone needs time. So let's go to and Sally, would you like some time this evening to talk? I don't know, Sally heard. Sally, can you hear me?
I don't think she can.
I don't think so.
Sally? No, she can't hear me. Okay. I'll have to, we'll have to figure that out. Ashley, can you ask Sally if she can hear you? Maybe it's me.
I don't know. It sounds like she's talking to somebody.
Oh,
Or
okay.
it looks like it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not me then.
Right.
Phew.
No, I don't think it's
I
you.
can't hear her either.
All right. Well, that makes me feel better. Okay. So if she wants time, she'll have to tell me later. All right. And now someone else just joined. Okay. So let's start with our newbies. Cindy, since you were the first one here to pop on, welcome. And you said you're in North Carolina. Are you near Greensboro where
No,
Colleen is?
probably the other end of the state. I'm down by South Carolina, right below Asheville, near Spartanburg and Greenville. And my doctor's in Greenville, about an hour away.
And do you go to a CLL specialist?
She sure is. She's not on the list for some reason. I've asked why, but she is very up to date. She went to ASH, and I've been to two other doctors one at a big university who did not give me the right advice. So I've luckily found her, and she's done very well for me.
Oh, and what's her name?
Dr. Suzanne Fanning, Fanning. She's in Greenville, South Carolina.
That's always good to know.
Yeah. I recommended her to a couple people because there isn't a bunch in that area.
So what university did you go to?
Emory,
Oh, okay.
and that's about 3 or 4 hours away. So this is that made a big difference. But I was just at this point of starting treatment, and I was told to have BR, which is not current. That was about a year ago, but it still was not current. So I luckily was with the pandemic, I was able to gracefully step away and luckily was able to find her. And she was like, no, that's not the right treatment anymore.
No, was that a general oncologist or a hematologist oncologist, Cindy? The
The
first,
CLL specialist at Emory.
no, before that, before Dr. Fan.
I had in Florida, I was in Florida at that time, and I had diagnosed by a general hematologist, I think it was.
Thank goodness that you did
Yeah.
not.
Well, it was my research that I knew that wasn't right. It was all these programs and webinars that I kept up to date, and I knew that didn't sound right. And you know, you just have to do your research.
You do. You have to be your own self-advocate, which is what we all here try to encourage everyone to be.
Yeah.
And I am so, so glad because I've heard, I mean, and perhaps you have in some of the other, you know, the Facebook groups, stories like that. And it's just, it really upsets me when I hear those things.
It was just I know a lot of things changed right around that time, and they weren't as familiar with the new treatments, but still.
Last year?
It was 2021, the beginning of 2021. So it was right on the cusp when Venoclax was just coming out. And, but it wasn't right.
There were already a lot of new things out there since really, gosh, well, Frontline in 2016 is when ibrutinib, Imbruvica was approved. And that was kind of ushered in all the new different treatments, which there are many.
Right.
Including Venoclax. So thank goodness. So are you on treatment or not?
I had treatment. It started in August of 21 in the middle of the pandemic and finished last year, July of 22. No, I started in 20 and finished in 21. I'm a year and a half off of treatment.
Oh. What did you have?
Venoclax or obinutuzumab for 1 year. And also I had my 4-month checkup today, and everything's a little bit low now, which I guess my platelets are just a little bit below normal. And that was one of my triggers for treatment. My platelets went under 100 for 2 consecutive times. But so they're kind of have never bounced way back up. They're just hovering below normal. My white blood count is hovering right below normal, and my lymphocyte is hovering right below normal. So I don't know. She says that we hope that they will get back to normal, but they haven't yet. Pardon?
It takes a while for them to get back to normal.
That's what I've heard. So the other thing that we did, which I'm glad I did, I think, is the clonoSEQ test for the 1 in a million undetectable MRD. You're tested before you start treatment to see what are the colonies, I guess they're called, of what are the bad CLL cells. And I think they do it in all blood cancers, or they're just starting to do it in CLL to test.
They're clones. Cindy, they're clones.
Clones, right, that's right. So I had that done after my treatment, and I was undetectable at 1 million.
And for those who don't know, clonoSEQ is for MRD negativity testing.
And they hadn't really started doing, they do that in clinical trials, but they really aren't doing it standard in regular practice. But
They are in multiple myeloma.
Right, but not in CLL.
And because we use it as a treatment,
right.
you know, we know when we can get off maintenance and we can change things. Because I was taken off maintenance in July because I was 3 years MRD negative. So.
Right. So I started that discussion, and my doctor said she uses clonoSEQ for her other blood cancers, and she wasn't sure how insurance would help with that. So I said, well, I'd like to do it. So we did.
It's comparatively very inexpensive.
It's $1,950
How much?
test. $1,950. $1,950. And my insurance.
When I was in California, I mean, less than 6 months ago, it was $850.
Yeah.
That's great.
And the doctor may be taking a little bit of percentage for recommending it or something.
So was it covered for you, Cindy?
The insurance paid 688 of it, and they did not bill me for the rest.
Thank goodness.
Hey, that's great.
So, and is clonoSEQ in lieu of a bone marrow biopsy?
This was a blood test.
Right.
And
That I know, but
I've never had a bone marrow biopsy.
Now, here's the problem. For CLL, you can get a MRD test with peripheral blood. For multiple myeloma, it still must be a bone marrow biopsy
you still
because
have.
it doesn't work the same way. clonoSEQ is a one company, only one place does it in, I believe it's in outside Seattle. So the blood is then taken and sent to Seattle and done. And the difference between next generation sequencing and clonoSEQ is that clonoSEQ has to have an initial clone of the CLL or the plasma cells in multiple myeloma to compare it to the next one. Whereas regular sequencing, you just use the graph, and you can count it that way. They do it dice. But the next generation only does it up to -5, and clonoSEQ does to -6.
So we also we decided a year and a half after my treatment to do the test again today, just to see how things are progressing. She said at ASH, she learned that the clonoSEQ wanted them to track it. And she said, well, how do you do that if you don't do the tests every year? You have to have something. So she asked if I would be agreeable to that. And I said, yeah, I would. I think it's good information. I don't know at what point we'll need to use it, but I'd like to know if things are starting back percolating or whatever. So I think it'll be interesting information.
How do you spell clonoSEQ?
I'm sorry?
How do you spell clonoSEQ?
CLONO capital SEQ, all smushed together.
SEQ. Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, I talked to the people at clonoSEQ when they first sent me a statement, and the insurance company sent me the check, so I had to discuss with that. And I said, why is it considered out of network for a Blue Cross Blue Shield claim? And she said, oh, we're working on that. So I'm hoping they do, because that's kind of ridiculous. So I think that's on them to do that. And I kind of prodded them a little bit.
Well, I'm glad you did, because the reason is because they're a single unit. Everybody doesn't do it. No, only one lab can do it. So that's part of the problem with out of network.
Yeah.
Kind of a monopoly there, huh?
Well, they designed it and they developed it, so.
It's like experimental anything. You know what I mean? If it's experimental, they don't cover it.
It's not experimental. It's been going on for about 3 years.
I remember Tom Henry had told us about it years ago.
It doesn't mean insurance companies can't classify it as experimental. That's the deal, kind of.
Quick question, Sally. You were saying for multiple myeloma, so for CLL, yes, it's strictly through blood work, but you were saying for you,
yeah.
Do they send, so you have to have both a bone marrow biopsy, and then do they use what they get from that to send to clonoSEQ for the test? That test.
Yes.
And do they also do the regular testing on the bone marrow biopsy to see if there's a difference between the two? Or no, because they've already determined that.
Yeah, they've already got that. Yeah.
Anyone else here?
But they can use the bone marrow biopsy for other reasons other than just, the clonoSEQ or the next generation sequencing, to see if there are any, genetic changes or anything else. But they're working on trying to get a peripheral blood one. So that'd be nice.
Has anyone else here had clonoSEQ besides Cindy and Sally? Lou, have you had it? Huh. Boy, you two are innovators here.
I think
they didn't have it available when I first got multiple myeloma. So we had to go back and try to find my original clone in
That's what I
my
had.
original bone marrow biopsy, wherever they store all that stuff, and
Wow.
send it to them. Because if you don't have an original clone on before treatment, you start treatment, you can't use clonoSEQ.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
Hmm.
Lou, maybe
Because
that's you can.
what clonoSEQ does, if I can do this in layman's terms, they take that original clone and they examine it and they mark those clones and what they are. So then they make like a dye for those clones. And so when they get the next sample, all they do is look for those clones. That's all they have to do. They don't have to, count anything because they're just looking for those clones.
My result had a new thing pop up. So I did talk to a doctor about my results.
You
But
had
I
a
thought
what pop-ups? I didn't understand,
I had
Cindy.
a new clone
Oh, a
pop.
new clone. Okay.
It was only at the 3,000 level. So I asked to talk to a doctor at Adaptive, whatever their name is, where clonoSEQ is done.
Adaptive.
Adaptive.
You're correct. Adaptive.
So I spoke to one of the doctors there, and he said that you can't. He explained it that you could. I said, did I have to have had the first blood done? Because a lot of people don't know about it, and he said that they can do it the same way. Look for clones, and if you're undetectable, there's nothing to find after testing. But in my
Well,
case,
it's after you start treatment because that's when you start losing the clones.
right. But they can still do it.
Yeah, but if you don't have any, if you've started treatment and you try to do it and you have nothing there, they can't get the
Right.
clones to test.
I understand. But some people are on like a Brutnick or something where they aren't ever undetectable, so they could have theirs tested at any time. They would know what level they are at, or I don't
Correct.
know.
And that's the big difference between CLL and MM.
Yes, yeah.
So Sally, I'm amazed they were able to find your original clone. That's pretty cool.
Well, they keep the slides or whatever forever, I think, don't they?
I don't know I don't know. That's
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to go back to Emory 2 years before to get mine
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
my doctor's office did not keep them, but they had done some kind of something that they saved.
Yeah.
They did, like you were saying.
Yeah,
I had to go
archive it.
back to the City of Hope.
Sorry, I'm just going to check on Lynn and Al to see. Hope everything's okay. Okay, so thank
That's
you.
interesting, Cindy. I'm glad somebody's continuing with that.
Yeah.
Adaptive is
I
a
think
really
people
great company.
need to know about it. I try to bring it up because if you don't ask your doctors, they don't do it. I think they do it typically in clinical trials for CLL
Yes.
as a test, to see if it's working, but I don't know that they do it in practices yet. So
I don't know if, I mean, again, I don't know CLL, but I know in multiple myeloma, they don't necessarily in clinical trials do clonoSEQ. They do next gen sequencing. So,
Yeah,
because they can do it in their own hospitals and get the results right away.
uh-huh.
I've asked, and there hasn't been an overall consensus for it to be accepted yet.
Yeah, I don't know that we know what they're going to do with the information, but I think it's going to be useful at some point. Are these my clones coming back, or what's going on a year and a half after treatment stopped? It'd just be interesting. I just find that interesting.
Well, again, in multiple myeloma, they're using it for treatment decisions.
Right.
Mhm.
And they may start earlier, or I don't know. I don't know what we'll do with the information. Hopefully it'll be still undetectable.
Okay, just keep it that way and then you don't have to worry about it.
You'll have to keep us updated on that.
I will.
So Colleen, also of North Carolina, which is just really, and Ashley, did you used to live in North Carolina?
Yeah, I used to live in Huntersville, right above Charlotte.
Oh yeah, I know where that is. I used to live in Charlotte before I moved
Oh, yeah?
here, and then I used to live in Maine, and from
In
Connecticut.
Maine.
Huh?
Where in Maine and Connecticut?
So Kittery, Maine. I was in Maine and New Hampshire. I raised my kids up there. And in Connecticut, I was kind of all over the place, but like where I ended up like with my high school years and stuff was South Windsor. So I was
I have
born in.
family in Weathersfield, Connecticut, and in Kennebunkport, Maine.
Oh yeah, Kennebunk. Yep. Yeah, I miss Maine a lot, and kind of Greensboro kind of reminds me a little bit of it. So it's kind of reminds me of New England. Uh, so um, So yeah, I was like, "You're in Boston." I'm like, "I love Boston." I
Oh,
know Boston well. Used to go there a lot.
well,
So,
we've been having an okay winter so far, but you probably have milder winters where you are now in general.
well, yeah, it was really cold at Christmas, and now like I've been wearing shorts. So it's been gorgeous. I've been doing walks. Hi, Lynn.
There he is. I
Hello.
was just texting
Hello.
you, Lynn. I was getting concerned. So, so Colleen, you said you also have CLL,
Yes,
and are you in treatment now?
I am not. We had paused me in January of last year, January 24th, because I was having really bad leg cramping and things. I'm not even sure what else, but it was very debilitating. And so we paused it to see if it was, I was on a calibertinib at the time. I had started it in April, I think, of, I don't even know what years these are anymore. So that would be 22. So it would have been 2021. I would have started it in April. My health had been declining really, really fast. Um, and that was my second line of treatment. Um, but once I went off of it, within a couple weeks, I was doing much better. Like with all the side effects.
So
Um,
you had more than just the leg cramping?
I can't remember what else. Like I have it all like because I did a diary and everything. So I had because I had
Very
a
smart to do.
yeah, I had a diary. I see Dr. Brander at Duke, Danielle Brander. She's actually like the third doctor specialist I've seen, and she's been the best for me, and I trust her. The first doctor I had, he was very CT scan happy and treatment happy. Um, and I did do my first treatment with him. I was on ibrutinib and rituximab. Um, I was told when I was diagnosed in 2018 that it would be 15 years before I would have treatment. And it literally was 15 months that I started, like, I just went downhill fast. Or things progressed really fast, I should say. Um, so in August of 19 is when I started my first um, round of treatment with the ibrutinib and rituximab, and I only made it like 2.5 months.
What
Um,
what CLL do you have?
I have chronic lymphocytic leukemia.
I know, but do you have 13?
Oh, I don't think I don't think I have any of those deletions. I am unmutated though.
Mhm.
Uh, I know mine's like CD38, CD5. I'm not some of the bad ones.
Well,
Um,
unmutated isn't the worst, but it's not the best.
yeah, it's not the worst anymore in today's thing. I mean, when I read it, I was like, "Oh, this isn't good," but it also explained why I went fast. Like, I mean, I think I had it 40 years prior to when I was diagnosed because my numbers, my blood work was off, and every time I looked it up, it said that it was leukemia, and I said, well, my doctors would tell me if I had leukemia, but they just kept telling me that I was getting sick or I was sick, and that's why my white blood cells were elevated. But I was like that I never wasn't sick,
Oh,
you know. So a doctor that I don't normally see, she's the one that caught it, and she looked at my last year. And I had been to doctors because my lymph nodes started, and I got those checked. I had lumps in my neck and got those checks. I'm like, why am I having lumps? You know? And they're like, oh, it's just your lymph nodes, you're fine. And then a couple months later, I was diagnosed with leukemia. Um, it was present before, because I know in 2015 I was having sinus infection after sinus infection. I was anemic. Um, I was having blackouts. I mean, there was just a lot going on, and so it was present. So
oh. So, question, why have you only been on these treatments a short while each treatment? I mean, you said you had joint pain, but,
yeah,
you
with
know,
the first one I had joint pain. I think the second was more muscle and everything. Like, and I was having really bad cramping. I couldn't sleep. It was affecting my sleep and everything. With the ibrutinib, it was more joint pain, but the rituximab is what messed me up really bad. After my third um,
infusion.
infusion, within not even a week, I was really mean. I had to take a leave of absence from work because I work with the public, and um, and I was like a manager like that put out fires and stuff like that. And I never knew what was going to come out of my mouth. I was just super, super. It was just horrible. And I literally went to my doctor's office in person and said, I don't want to do this anymore. I said, I can't. And I had already known because I'd seen Dr. Brander, and I asked her if she would have done the same treatment, and she pretty much said in a very nice way that she would not have done the rituximab. She would have just done the ibrutinib. So I knew in the back of my mind that I could eliminate that, um, because of what she had said. But I have some other issues, other health issues. Um, I have um, I have a lot of mental health challenges, is what I call them. I have bipolar, and I still have like mood disorders, and any kind of medicine, and then it just it just makes things worse for me. And I discussed it with the doctor at that time, and then also with Dr. Brander because I just started seeing her, and they both agreed that my mental health was important, um, and that I could stop. The second time around with the acalabrutinib, I think I made it 9 months. Um, and once I was off of that, I realized that my mood had been up and down on that, because afterwards I was more even keeled after I came off of that. So I just, there's things I have to manage more when I'm on medications and stuff. So, and I told them I would rather deal with cancer than with mental health.
Mhm.
I felt like it's more controllable. So, but I did make it longer this time, which was nice. And so far, my numbers are doing really well. I've had a lot of different issues this last year I also have immune issues, the CVID. I actually just was at the immunologist yesterday, and we're doing some new testing to see about mast cell. I don't know if anyone knows about mast cell syndrome.
Is that
And
part of CLL?
no,
Okay.
it's your immune system. It has to do with your immune system and how antihistamines and how it reacts to well to different things, I guess. But I don't know. That's just been kind of, I feel like my CLL's been in a good place. Like my numbers are all good. My lymph nodes have definitely started, they're out of, they're going again. I had a PET scan in November and that just proved that they're growing again and stuff, but my blood work is doing great. So I have to be seen every couple months. Yeah, and she said when after we stopped and we kind of monitored everything, and we decided not to go back on it on the acalabrutinib, I asked her specifically because I needed to know, and it really helped me to be at peace about it. But I asked her what's going to happen the next time because the end of 2019 or 20, at the end of 20, I, I, my health just declined super fast. And I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat. Um, I was, I was tired, you know, and it took a while to get started with treatment because we had to check my heart. I was having heart issues as well. Nothing super serious, but I had to go to a cardiologist to get approved to be able to start treatment and everything. So, but so she said as soon as my numbers start, she's putting me on. We're not going to wait this time. She'll get me started on treatment right away. So
And the BTKIs are working for you, it seems. The acalabrutinib was effective. So
yeah,
that's a,
I think what I want to do though, from just being in the groups that I've been in, and I've talked with Dr. Brander about it, I want to do something more intense. Like I would like to do the VNO, but by the time I start another thing, there might be something else out. So it's just kind of keeping up with all the different new meds. And she's a researcher. She does research for CLL. And that's why I really trust her because she knows. Um, and so we'll see what happens when that time comes. It's not, I'm not worrying about it, I'm just
that's good.
living for the day,
Why it's important that you have a great CLL specialist and one that you trust.
Yes,
It makes all
yes,
the difference, I think, when you
absolutely.
know that versus second guessing. Well, it's good to hear that you're in a good place with your CLL. You really sound that way. Um, and
Yeah,
that's
I just wish I could have enjoyed it. I've had so many other issues with sub-Qs and with my sub-Q. Did subcutaneous things for my immune system. I had I got shingles after my first round of treatment, and and it was actually 3 years ago this month that I got them, and I just got rid of them a few months ago.
oh no.
Yeah, so that's why we wanted to try the sub-Q to see if it would work because it still wasn't going away with the monthly IVIG. And then I had reactions to the sub-Q, both to two of the brands. I had really bad reactions. Um, and it's just like, of course, I'm supposed to be enjoying my time. Like, I wanted to go kayaking and do all this, hiking and get myself, just enjoy not being in treatment and stuff. And it's been hard, um, but yeah, so we're in a good place now. We've got things figured out and back on IVIG, but I get to do it at home now. So
Has
That's
anybody else gotten shingles from these treatments? Judy,
Judy?
you did? How did you handle it?
I did very minutely because I take a cyclovir every day, uh, twice a day. So I got just little small patches and I recognized it and would call the dermatologist immediately and got the big deal. So it never went into a full-blown shingles.
Right. Well, I'm on acyclovir as well because my oncologist still doesn't feel that I have enough antibodies to hold the Shingrix vaccine, just like COVID when you get, 12 boosters or whatever it's been. Um,
Well,
so,
cyclovir since 2015, twice a
I
day.
mean, I don't mind. I have no reaction to, I mean, no adverse reactions to it. So I go ahead and I'd rather be on that and know I'm not going to get shingles rather than take the Shingrix and be possibly, get shingles. Anybody else?
Now, Lynn,
I was I was on all the antivirals. They tried all the antivirals. I did all like really high doses. And then when I was on a break, a little like no outbreak right at the moment, they said I could get the Shingrix, and then I ended up in the hospital with anaphylactics. So I couldn't
Yeah.
get the second one. So that's like the second vaccine that's happened with me. But I thought even just having the first one, it would have done something, but my body just rebels against things. It's really hard. I feel bad for my doctors.
Ashley, you're on acyclovir as well?
Yeah, my doctor, I got the vaccine, but my doctor said, I could go off of it if I wanted, but I might get shingles, so
That's
I don't want to do that.
Don't want to do that is right. Yes, Michelle.
I'm on it as well, and I take 3 a day. Judy, you were saying 2. And
Well, it depends on what the milligram size of the pill is.
I take
Yeah,
two
no,
400.
I do 800 milligrams a day.
I do 1200.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 'cause
Um,
it's it's every 12 hours. I'm on it. And
so
it's
you're on. Who else? I wonder if maybe it should be more who isn't on it. Is Lynn, are you on it?
Yeah, just got shingles. You're on mute, Lynn.
Yeah. How's this? Is
Joe,
that
you're on it
working?
too?
I had shingles back in November, and I immediately went to the walk-in clinic, and they confirmed the diagnosis and got me started on Valtrex the same day. And I was able to control the pain with Tylenol. And anyway, my doctor at MD Anderson agreed that it was time to put me on the extended antiviral. So I'm on 500 milligrams of Valtrex or valacyclovir once a day.
Valacyclovir and acyclovir are the same thing, I think.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. So
I'm on 400 milligrams a day as well. For years, my docs couldn't come up with a strong agreement on whether I should get the Shingrix vaccine, and I didn't. And then I got a terrible case of shingles. I lost use of my right arm. I was in physical therapy for 2 or 3 months, and
Wow.
then I started on isaclavir after that. But yeah, it hit me real hard when I got it. But I don't know, had any of you, had you been recommended to have the Shingrix vaccine with blood cancer? Because my docs couldn't come across with a strong recommendation one way or another.
Well, as
I'm
I
talking about
said,
five,
my
6 years ago.
oncologist said I don't have enough antibodies to support the vaccine, Shingrix. So he recommended that I just stay on acyclovir since I had no problems with it. It's just another pill.
Yeah.
And you said you're only on 400 milligrams a day?
I think it's 400 acyclovir. I'm not
You should
positive,
be on 2 400 milligram pills a day. You should be on 800 a day.
This guy
I'll
lost
look into that.
left
right,
arm.
'cause it's 12 hours. It's a
Shingle.
12-hour dosage. It's not 24 hours. So you're right. You should be
Take
on
one
two.
morning and evening. I don't
Yeah,
12
correct.
hours between.
That's how it works.
That's what I do, 1 in the morning, 1 at night.
Valtrex, I do once a day.
Is that an extended release, Lynn? The
It
Valtrex?
must, I guess, I don't know. That was prescribed by MD Anderson for me. So, and talking about vaccinations, my doctor at MD Anderson recommended against any vaccines before COVID. I had, the flu, pneumonia, all those other vaccines. He said your immune system won't react. And I think maybe there was concern about it upsetting the apple cart with how well I was doing on ibrutinib, maybe. But once COVID hit, the last thing I heard him say about the COVID vaccine is get that as often as you can because the cumulative effect could be positive. So I didn't get COVID until December of this year, or a month ago.
COVID shot or COVID disease?
I got COVID. December 14th, I tested positive, and immediately I went to the walk-in clinic. No, I didn't do that. I contacted MD Anderson by email, and I contacted my local doctor by email. MD Anderson promptly sent a prescription for Paxlovid to CVS, and my local doctor sent a different prescription, and his excuse was that Paxlovid was too likely to rebound, or COVID was too likely to rebound. So anyway, I didn't take the prescription that he prescribed. I took the Paxlovid, and within 2 days, my fever was down to low grade, where it had peaked at 101.8. It was now low grade, and by the time I finished the Paxlovid, which was 5 days, I was much, much better.
Lynn, when you went on Paxlovid, because I did the same song and dance in October, but I found I had such a sore throat. I mean, I was tempted to go and see if I had strep throat. And my doctor said that many cases that it's the Paxlovid that gives you the sore throat, not necessarily the COVID.
Really?
Did you have a sore throat with Paxlovid?
No, I did not have, haven't had a sore throat for years. The only symptom I had with COVID was the high temperature and some night sweats and so forth. My wife also came down 2 days later, and I told her, I said, tell the doctor at the walk-in clinic you want Paxlovid, and once again, they wouldn't prescribe that for her. I think they gave her prednisone, and
a steroid.
Yeah, and some antibiotics. This was a nurse practitioner.
Something up and down.
And so, and she also had, well, let me add to that. They also tested her for urinary tract infection. She had that along with COVID.
Oh.
She has every time they check her for a UTI, she has one. So.
Well, and like you, I was over it in 5 days, and my temperature never went up over 101, or and my sister and brother-in-law both got it the 2 weeks before I got it. They brought it from Ireland with them, and it took them 10 days to get over it, to be starting to test negative again. So I think the Paxlovid did a wonderful job, except for the sore throat. I mean, I was ready to slit my throat. It was so bad.
No. Did anyone else here get COVID and take Paxlovid for it, or not take Paxlovid?
I've never had it.
Knock on wood.
I have it now.
I live a sequestered life.
Somebody said they have it now.
I haven't had it.
That's me, Faye.
Had it.
Oh, hi.
Joe's wife does.
That's why you're not on camera?
Oh, that's why I have my mask on.
There you are. Hi, Faye.
Hi.
I kept hearing her and I didn't see her.
Thankfully, Joe didn't get it. from me, and I'm on my 10th day, so I'm just masking up with him and everything. But I took Paxlovid, but he had it last August. And they gave him, they said that Paxlovid didn't go with one of his other medicines, and they gave him something called Molnupiravir, and it in one day he was like better. But has anybody had the Evusheld shot?
Yes, I have.
But they don't work anymore, so
Well,
then
yeah.
they're useless.
You know, I still say if I could get it for free, shoot me up because you never know. There's still stuff circulating out there. It's just not the dominant one.
Right. It still works for some of them if you happen to run up into the right one, but the one that's prevalent now is not, it's not effective.
Nothing does though. To the new one, supposedly.
Well,
I
they
got
were,
Evishield when it first came out, and the doctor says, don't bother.
Okay.
Do it
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not working on the newer variants. A couple that are still roaming about, but not the newest, strongest ones, which
evidently it's a brand new one they're talking about that just this last week or so.
Judy, do you recall the name of it?
I saw it on the news today. It was, of course, it was numbers,
I think it's BA03.
something, but it said it was becoming very prevalent on the East Coast.
5. It's 15.
Oh, 15. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jerry.
Something 111 or whatever.
It's a long number.
Yeah, it's here. I mean, I'm in the Northeast. Luckily not here, Nottingham, but still. Actually, we're considering going out for the first time and dining inside at a restaurant Saturday, and now I'm not sure.
I had a friend that did that, and he came down with it. I mean, he was really. There was 2 of us left that didn't get it in a bicycling group, and he took his daughter out to a restaurant, and he caught it in the restaurant. And he has never been anywhere other than taking his daughter out for her birthday at a restaurant, and came down with it, and then he gave it to his wife.
Oh.
I hate to admit, but I've been going to restaurants for the last 3 months.
I started
Yeah,
my doctor about that today.
I won't.
She suggested going off hours, go at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something.
Carry out.
Yeah, I haven't yet.
I've done 1 o'clock, but.
That is true, Rick. But yeah, they do say if it's a bigger restaurant or if you're spaced apart from each other, I would probably, if going, wear a mask until the moment it's time to eat, but I don't know. There's servers and.
Can't control it.
What did you say, Jerry?
I said you can't control it. A lot of people I knew that we watched these guys get picked off, and it was predominantly family events.
Picked up.
They went to a family event, or they went to a wedding where everybody masked up at the wedding, but they didn't mask up during dinner, and they got it there. And so a lot of the people knew kind of when they got it because it was the only thing they kind of did.
Well, no one here is masking anymore unless it's at the clinic.
Oh, I mask. You just mask for yourself.
I mean, just in the general population.
Right. So it's going to spread all over the place. Watch. Spread all over.
The schools here have a suggested, not mandatory masking right now. And in the news, they said quite a high percentage of the kids are wearing them right now, which is surprising because it's voluntarily, but they are suggesting it because of this new variant and the numbers are high in the Northeast.
Also, the more you get it, the more often you get it, the higher risk you have long COVID. And they're saying right now, 53% of the population that had COVID is exhibiting long COVID. So they're actually measuring your heart, your lungs, and all that stuff. So the more times you get it, people just say, "Oh, it doesn't matter if I get it again." It does.
Also, the masking in schools, Michelle, also helps prevent the flu and colds and upper respiratory diseases as well. Not just COVID.
I live in a high
Remember during COVID, none of us got sick?
I live in a high concentration of Japanese, and they all wear masks.
Yeah.
Always. I rarely see somebody of Asian descent not with a mask, shopping or doing whatever.
Generally, it's me and all the Asians here in Boston with our masks on, but no one else. But it
Right?
is true.
And somebody that stands close to me, I come back and say, well, why are you right on my ass when I'm wearing a mask? Don't you think stand back?
I don't have any trouble asking people to stand back from me, even with the mask on. I'll say, I'm very immune compromised. Please give me room.
Or if you have to really whip out the big stick, you go, I have cancer. And then you just watch them shrivel.
Jerry,
I think it's contagious.
Friends told me I ride with a big group of bicyclists and everything, and they suggested I get an e-bike. I got an e-bike, and I went to a big bicycle event, and this was midway between treatments. This was before my stem cell transplant. And the deal is there was a guy standing there with like 8 other guys on a bike, and I had my electric bike, and he goes, "Come on, man. Why do you have to have an electric bike?" I said, "Because I have cancer." And then you could just see the guy just die. I mean, just literally shrivel.
You pulled the cancer card.
I said, "Tell you what, I'll take your bike and you can have the cancer." And you could just see his testicles just suck up into his body.
Gary, Jerry, it's so funny you raise that issue because I just came across from the Men Speaking Freely meeting, and the first guy up who wanted to talk was a long distance cyclist, hill climber, who had just because he's on hormone therapy for prostate cancer, he has no testosterone in his body. And he was asking the group, how do you come to terms with having to ride, not having any strength, having to ride an e-bike? And he felt so badly. We talked about it for a while. So I am going to connect him to you.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, the deal is so I got the e-bike, and then you get all the other alpha males, and they don't know I got a stealth e-bike. So it doesn't look like an e-bike. So these guys are alphas, and they're trying, and I'm on this mountain bike. And these guys are on road bikes, and they're looking at me like I'm like Christopher Reeve. And I don't tell them it's a motor and everything. And so it's funny because I lay out the cancer thing. I said, hey, I got this so I can ride through chemotherapy. All being a pussy goes away. For guys that say, you pussy. They come back and they say, oh, that's great. I'm glad you're right. You say, we paradigm shift them. But the deal is about 4 other guys I ride with that don't have cancer or anything are now on e-bikes.
They can say, I've been exposed to cancer.
Yeah.
Hey, can we start deducting that off of our taxes now, Jerry?
Yeah, I hope so. I've got 2 of them now. I'm looking for an e-fat bike to go out and ride in the winter. It's got 4.6-inch tires, studded tires.
Oh, wow.
With like 1,000-watt battery. You go through that snow and everything. It's just you talk about mentally liberating. And the rest of the guys behind me and everything, they're just sweating like dogs. It's just, and I sit there, I got to dress a little warmer next time. It's wonderful.
I definitely have to connect you to Cliff for an attitude.
Oh, yeah.
An attitude adjustment.
It was the best thing I ever did. Best thing I ever did. I don't care. It's wonderful.
You have to, Rick. I mean, he will appreciate this. I know he will.
Yeah, I was going to try to make the meeting, but then it occurs the same time this meeting is. But then I think the other meeting meets every other week, right?
No, so we meet twice a month now for Speaking Freely.
Right.
And the first meeting clashes with this one, but the second meeting does not.
Second meeting. of
Right.
that one. So if he shows up to that, you can have him show up to that.
Oh, yeah, no, but I'm going to connect. I'm going
Is
to
that way you
connect
can
you
get the
guys
enjoyment out of
before.
his face, watching his face and his attitude totally
Yeah.
change, right?
No, you're just the right man. And by the
Well,
way, that's why Herb drops out halfway through and I come in halfway through because he
okay.
moves. He likes that meeting, so he doesn't want to. So we tag team for this meeting.
And I came over with you, Rick, when you said you're going to blood
That's
cancer. I
right.
thought, now there's my more important cancer. I'm going over there.
That's right. And Bill, don't you think from what Jerry just said that Cliff would love to hear what he
Oh, it's
hear it?
perfect, perfect. And I love the line. I got it so I can ride to chemo. I'm going to use that one.
Wait,
'Cause
are we
I
going
got
to
one.
lose Jerry now to the other meeting? Do we get to keep you, Jerry? I don't know. We're going to have to like
Yeah,
duke it out.
no, we won't. We're not sending Jerry over. That'll happen next time. But I'm going to connect Jerry and Cliff by
There was
email
this
after the meeting. I
alpha
made a note.
couple on a tandem, and he was the monster, and she was riding in the back. And you gaslight people, so you ride up to them, and then I back off, and then they try to catch you. They try to take off from you, and you catch them again, and I back off, and it drives them crazy. And the guy, I finally pull up to the guy, and I accelerate out, and he looks at me, and I said, "E-bike." Oh, I said, I got cancer. I'm going through chemotherapy. Then it was all cool. But it was just funny to see how competitive some of these people were. I mean, this guy's wife on the back of the bike was just cramping up. She was just trying to go as hard as he was. And he was an alpha male, the alpha. And it was fun. So I tell you, it's a great way to have fun and enjoy the outdoors.
Jerry, do you consider yourself an alpha or an
No,
alpha?
I used to be, but not anymore because it's not as fun as I might be a match every so often to throw the match on the fire. But no, not really.
Well,
I have a hard enough time controlling myself.
well, you have very good humor. It's much appreciated
You
here.
got to. You got to. I mean, what else are you gonna do, right?
Absolutely. And so is there a women speaking freely meeting, Rick? Or is that every meeting that women are at is women speaking freely?
So, funnily enough, we have been planning one, and yesterday I said to Alexa, we got to get that women speaking freely group up and running. And so I think it'll happen in the first 3 months. And, then we'll tell everybody in all our groups, whether it's MS or sarcoidosis or cancer. And I think we'll get a good group, right, Ashley? What do you think? Do you think a women speaking freely group would do well?
Yeah, I think so.
But don't women speak freely?
Not every woman.
No.
True. And not even those who speak freely don't necessarily speak for what speaking freely is intended for them to speak about freely. Did that make
Really?
any sense?
Yeah.
It's,
No,
it's,
we will get one going, and we might be seeking moderators. So if I know that Alexa's definitely will moderate, but if anybody wants to volunteer, any of the ladies want to volunteer to moderate that group, let us know, and we'll get it up. We hope we'll get it up and running very, very soon. We do recognize there is a need. So, yes.
or
Just
Bill.
don't have it as late as this one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, for you, it wasn't
sorry.
like before, Sally, when you were on the West Coast.
That was nice.
Yeah, Sally, that it's a good point. It's very difficult because we can't really start meetings that much earlier because of the people on the West Coast. Now, whatever the reason why with our prostate cancer meetings that we have one that starts at 6 o'clock Eastern and one that starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, because all of the people on the East Coast said it starts too late. So when we decided to expand to an extra meeting, we started it earlier and we've just kept it at that time. So, you know, if the ladies love it and they want a second meeting, then we could move that second meeting to
Why
an
don't
earlier
you just
time.
start one on the earlier time? Because not everybody works, and there are a lot of people at home that aren't going to be,
Okay.
it's just an idea.
No, it's a very good idea, and I will discuss it with Miss Alexa.
I mean, because the East Coast, these meetings get to be really late.
And well, you think it's late for us. What about Barbell?
Yeah, right. It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Poor Barbell. Poor Barbell. Shada.
Joe Rosenbaum. Joe had his hand up a while ago.
Yeah, I have MDS, and I've lost weight. I lost about 7, 8 pounds, and don't have much of an appetite sometimes, and feel nauseated at breakfast, and having diarrhea like once a week or something like that. Anyway, do anybody have any suggestions on how to gain some weight?
Milkshakes.
What state do you live
Ice
in?
cream.
Are you eating enough?
Well, my wife says I'm not eating enough, but I do have ice cream.
Well, you won't gain weight if you don't eat enough.
That's
Are
true.
you taking Ensure? You drinking
Yeah.
Ensure?
What state do you live in?
Florida.
But there's also liquid nutrition, which you can
That's
drink
Ensure.
and you have enough calories if you cannot eat so much.
That's
Yeah, that's
Ensure.
Ensure. And you can put Ensure in the freezer and make it like a fudgesicle.
Has
That's
your
good.
doctor prescribed Meritol?
I don't think so.
No.
You might want to ask him about that.
What's a Meritol?
Meritol is basically a form of cannabis that gives you the munchies.
Yeah, I take
It's
care.
medical. It's medical
I'm
grade
on.
and everything, and it
Yeah,
stimulates your appetite.
I'm on cannabis.
Oh, okay.
And you don't get the
But you
munchies
still-
or anything.
I was going to suggest if you don't eat enough during meals, eat between meals too.
I'll try to eat all day long.
His problem is he has this diarrhea. I think that it just takes away everything it's put in him, you know? So we've got to get that under control.
Being a gastrologist.
Yeah.
That's
Is
a good.
that a side effect to one of the drugs you're taking, Joe?
I'm not sure. But, you know, when I'm taking chemo, it came about 4 or 5 days after the last chemo, but this last bout is coming all the time.
Have you tried Lomatil?
No, what's a lump?
Lomatil is an exceedingly good, strong anti-diarrheal.
Lamotil, we call it.
Lamotil?
It's much stronger than Imodium. It's called Lomatil.
But you don't have C. diff, right?
No.
No.
Joe?
No.
No C. diff?
No.
No, if he only has diarrhea once or twice a week, that's not C. diff.
Oh, I thought you had it every day.
No. Some days.
Not like a stem cell transplant.
Only if he eats every day does he have it.
Yeah, Lomatil is very good.
Okay.
I'll try. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So actually, Judy, you had wanted a little time.
Yes, I've had a a PET scan on Tuesday because my symptoms, I have glands swelling in my neck, and my blood last time was okay, except for my LDH was up, and I will be going to the doctor tomorrow for restaging. It's been 3 years since my last REPOC for Richter's. But it is coming back in my blood, and I had lymph nodes. While they're not huge, they have doubled since April testing.
I'm
So
sorry to hear that. Judy, what was when you had Richter's transformation? What had happened with that?
well, I started out in 2014 with the trisomy 12. In 2015, took a series of 6 BR treatments because that was right on the cusp of when ibrutinib was being done, and they really, it was still in trial when I started that. And so I had 6 of that, and I got 3.5 years out of that, and then went to the Richter's transformation with the large B-cell lymphoma within my colon, not colon cancer, just within my colon. They removed half of my colon, and then I had 6 rounds of REPOC, which is given in the hospital for 5 days straight, 24/7. And I finished it January 4th of 2020. And so from then, I started taking some acalabrutinib to try to keep under, but I couldn't do that because my neutrophils had bottomed out so far, and I hadn't had any treatment except for a couple of months of acalabrutinib in 2020. And so until this year, we started seeing a little bit of movement with the blood counts, and not severely, but I have blood tests every month. So I know, because I have a port and it has to be flushed. So I say, if you're going to flush my port, go on and give me a blood test. So we've seen a little bit of movement, although most of them have been pretty well. I did take IVIG for quite a few months, and that's been a strange thing too, because I went from below 600 all the time until about 4 or 5 months ago. It suddenly went up to like 1300 and has stayed 1300 to 1600. Nobody knows why, unless my body's trying to recover or whatever. Anyway, wow. Tomorrow we'll be going to see Dr. Awan, and we'll be restaging, whether it's with pill or what with that.
So tomorrow you meet with him?
Mm-hmm. And I was very lucky because when I saw the PA in December, my next appointment was at the end of February, and they said get a PET scan, and the PET scan was scheduled again at the end of February. I called and got it changed to the end of January, saying, I'd really like to have it even sooner, and got a call and got it January 3rd, and then was able to call and get Dr. Awan this week too. So everything working out to get that quick of being seen is just been miraculous.
That is miraculous. Yeah. How your LDH, how is it out of range? You said it was higher.
It was high. It was out of range, which it has gone in and out, not real stable for the last few months. Sometimes it would be normal and sometimes it would go out. My lymphocytes have been below normal, which he said, that was a good thing to keep them low, but they have started rising some too, although they're not really high now. It's just, I'm just trying to keep it to have a quick solution.
No, I wish you luck. Please let us know how you do
Yeah.
with your appointment. Yeah, I missed Dr. Awana Ash. He was, I guess they tried to schedule him, but he was already booked at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Patient Howard tried to schedule him with me, but
Oh, yeah. Too
he's a
bad.
great doctor to have. I like how he explains things.
Right. And I did like your, the one with Dr. Is it Gafford from Des Moines?
Oh, Tara Graff, yeah.
Graf. Yeah. That was a really good interview.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if they released one with Nicole Lamanna yet. And
I
there
haven't seen it.
are a few others too. So I don't know when those will be released, but I tried to do different topics with different doctors, so they weren't all speaking about the same things. But yeah, Dr. Graff is someone I don't think a lot of people know about her in Iowa. So she's like a hidden jewel there. And she
Well,
did.
I had found her name before because my son lives 30 miles east of Des Moines. And so if I go and visit him and need something, that's probably who I'll call.
Absolutely. And I can get you her information. I actually need to get it for someone else as well. So I will write it down as a to-do to get it to you.
Okay.
You mentioned Dr. Lamanna. I think she is superb.
Yeah. She is, and she is all that she seems. She is just not only so knowledgeable and explains things well, but she's a very warm human being as well. And anyone who has her as a patient, as you know, that you've probably talked to and heard, everyone loves her. She's just, yeah. If I was in New York, I'd go to her in a nanosecond.
I found some videos of her being interviewed with one of the major networks as like a medical expert. I don't remember what the topic was, but one day I was just Googling videos and Googling her name, and I came across that. So
Wow.
yeah, she's a gifted communicator.
She is, and that's very cool. Being in New York, maybe that helps, but she's excellent at communicating, but also everything about her is just, she's lovely. I can't say enough good things. Not only knowledgeable, brilliant, but also a lovely human being and easy to talk to. So anyway, Judy, I will get that info to you.
Thank you.
I just have to, I can't promise it tomorrow, but next week I'll get it to you.
I'm probably not going to Iowa anytime soon. But
Okay.
I like Joe Rosenbaum's cap he had on earlier. Joe, I liked your cap you had on earlier.
I liked that too.
Yeah, boy, you look like a cool dude. Whatever a cool dude is.
He does look like a cool dude.
I appreciate that. I love my hat. It's about 20 years old.
Well, you look at maybe 22. The glasses.
You're too kind.
Lou, we haven't seen you in, as we had said in the beginning, in such a long time, but I know you've been through so much. Can you update us on all the, and here you are. How are you?
I was trying very hard to have the doctor look into a clinical trial for teclistamab, for over 6 months. And when he finally did get a compassionate use clinical trial for up to 10 patients, he wrote it and Janssen approved it. I was the first one at the University of Kansas, KU, to go through the teclistamab, and I was fine. The 10 days in the hospital was fine. No issues with major side effects or anything. And then I think it was into the second cycle, about 39 days, from the first dose. And I started not being able to remember my passcode on the computer. And then I couldn't remember my zip code. And my hands started shaking. And my handwriting, which as a retired teacher, I always pride myself in decent handwriting. And it was illegible. Grocery list had to be done 4 times before I could, read it. And all through this, as these side effects started cropping up, I was in touch with, my doctor's office. And when my hands started shaking, they told me to come into the hospital. So when I got there, of course, the zillion tests and all kinds of things, and MRI, and it showed inflammation in my brain. And so I could not take teclistamab anymore. And I had talked to my doctor at KU, Dr. Abdallah, about maybe reducing the dose, because I had faith in bispecifics, which teclistamab is a bispecific. And I really had pushed, for him to write a grant or a clinical trial for it. So I wanted to be able to give it another try, but at the medium dose. When you go in to start the clinical trial for bispecifics, they start you at the lowest dose the first day, and then you wait a couple of days, they watch you, then they give you your second dose, and then that dose is, like the middle dose, 300, I think, milliliters or whatever was the second, and then 1,000 was the full dose. And that was given after 2 more days of waiting to see if I tolerated the 300. Well, 1,000 was too much. And that's when I went home, and a few days later then developed the neurotoxicities. So anyway, Janssen said no to reducing the dose because it was a clinical trial. Even though it was compassionate use, they still had to follow the protocols. And so I was not allowed to do a reduced dose. So that ended. And then I had a lot of things happening the next month, and ended up having a fever. I think it was November 28th. I had a fever of 103.4, I think it was. And so David, my husband, kept calling the on-call doctor, because it was 11 o'clock, of course, at night when your fevers start to spike. And he got a hold of the on-call doctor, and the doctor, I didn't know who it was. David didn't recognize the name, and he may not have even been an oncologist, hematologist, who knows. Anyway, he told David, he said, 103.4, you could keep her home, see how it goes, or you could bring her into the hospital. And David was like, we're coming to the hospital. And I thought, if he were a myeloma specialist, he would have said, come to the hospital first thing. And I have no idea who this dude was, but he was not very proactive. And thank goodness I have a husband who is. And so we got there, went through a bunch of tests, and it was my ANC, absolute neutrophil count, was 0. I had none. And mine has never been 0, even after stem cell transplant, CAR T, all of those. It's been, a few hundred, it's never been 0. And when they told me that, I was like, what? That's not good. And so I was running a fever. I had no resistance to anything. But then they ran more tests, and then they decided to do a bone marrow biopsy, which I had at the hospital. And it was not fun. I remember squirming. because they had to stab me like 4 times, couldn't find, I
You
had
have
dry.
anesthesia?
You
What
didn't
is,
put no sedation?
Oh, you got to do
yeah,
sedation.
I had,
I've had it 8 times. There's no way I'm not having
but I
anesthesia.
remember the pain. I mean,
Yeah.
I heard a nurse say, "Don't move."
Yeah. Oh, we'll have to do it again. Watch it again.
Yeah, they
Did
stabbed me 4 times, and I'm still sore.
did they not do it under
I think
Sedation.
they had dry, what they had, no marrow until the
Oh, you had
4th.
a dry cap?
Yeah, so they tested that, and they put through a lot of tests, more than normal when you have a bone marrow biopsy, and they found mold in my bone marrow.
Ooh.
Mold. Yes, mold. And I asked the doctors every time they came in, I said, "Have you ever had this happen before with a myeloma patient?" And they said, no.
With any patient?
I
With
know,
anyone?
no. These were hematologists. In the hospital, I had hematologists as well as hematologists on call, or oncologists who were doing rounds, because they take turns doing rounds. And so I talked to all of them and I said, "Have you ever had this happen? Have you ever heard of it?" And they all said no. They had never had a patient that had mold in their bone marrow. And so I was kidding around. I was saying, "Oh my God, I'm a moldy old woman." I was like, because I thought, what the heck is going on? And so I did get out of the hospital after they did lots of, steroids and all kinds of treatment. And I was in there, I think, 10 days. And then I went home and I had to go back to the cancer center every day for 14 days to get an antifungal IV. And the antifungal took, at least an hour. But you know how anytime you get an IV, there's prep stuff that happens, and then your IV and drip, and then there's other stuff that happens. So anyway, it was crazy. And I really don't know for sure that the mold is out of my bone marrow because I haven't had another bone marrow since. I don't know if it would show up in blood work. I had that, the first of the week. So nobody has said anything. So I don't know that I'm a moldy old woman still, but I feel okay. And my ANC is over 3,000. And I asked the doctor, I was referred to the head honcho of infectious diseases at KU, Dr. Hawkinson, who does morning programs, and he's real famous, in the Kansas City area for doing all those COVID updates. And so I was like starstruck. I said, "Oh, I saw you. I watched you every morning with your COVID updates." And they call him Dr. Or Hawk, or what is it on MASH? Hawkeye. That's what his co-doctors and compadres call him, is Hawkeye. And he's really, really good. And everybody bows down to him because he knows his stuff. And he said, and he had never seen mold in bone marrow before either. And he said, it had to have been environmentally introduced. And I said, "Oh," I said, "well, in my home, I don't have potted plants, ever since stem cell transplant. We don't have pets. We don't have plants that have soil, nothing in the house." And then later, David was saying he didn't mean that like in our house. He meant like on the instruments that are used for bone marrow biopsies.
Like the needle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it wasn't sterilized when they used it on you?
I was poked 4 times, so that,
That's what I was about to ask you. How does mold get into your bone
it had
marrow?
to be, Dr. Hawkinson said it had to have been introduced environmentally.
It could have been the trocar too, the thing that they twist.
Yeah. Sometimes just in the air, even though it's considered an operating room that's supposed to be sterile, they can't totally get everything out, and they can have spores, that can still be in the air, even if they have a filtration system. And so the best we can figure is it was introduced by the bone marrow biopsy needles.
Have you written this up and given it to Jenny? You should. Because this is something new and different that, they should just sort of put in the back of their heads.
Yeah. Anyway, as far as I know, I'm okay. I had
great.
labs look good. No detectable myeloma cells in my blood labs or in that bone marrow biopsy that I had. So the doctor said there is nothing to treat. So I am not on treatment right now. Yay.
Even though you.
But what level, what's the level of your M spike?
There is none.
So you are in remission.
Yes.
Then so the trial worked.
I asked Dr. Abdallah, I said, do you think that, because my numbers started going down, about halfway through the 39 days that I was on it. And he said, I don't know that it could have done that quickly, although my numbers went down pretty fast. And he said, but typically in the studies, long range studies, it doesn't show that teclistamab or some of the other bispecifics have longevity in your system. So that's why when you're getting the treatment for teclistamab, you go in every week, for your treatment.
Yeah.
So it is, he wouldn't say that it was the teclistamab that put me in remission.
Maybe it was the mold.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I know. Maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, I kind of believe it was teclistamab that started that journey of remission. So that's just what I believe.
How many days were you? So you were on it. You had to stop. How many days were you supposed to be on it?
I think he was going to reevaluate at 6 months just to see how my numbers looked, and so I didn't get to that point, because of the, neurotoxicities. So I don't know. I think he was just going to watch and wait and see what the numbers said.
Yes, Rick.
And you were on it for 39 days.
Yes. And then neurotoxicities kicked in.
I wonder if that means, so do they know at that point if they don't know if you were already negative, MRD negative, or?
No, they don't know that for sure. I mean, all I had was, electrophoresis, things from my blood labs at that point, because I did not have a bone marrow biopsy until I was in the hospital, a couple weeks later. So I don't know, but I just know the trend for the numbers, the myeloma numbers kept going down, and it was really looking impressive. So.
Maybe unbeknownst to you, you have found a new treatment for multiple myeloma. It's called mold.
Or it's the teclistamab and mold. That's the try.
That's the new trial.
That's right. But I don't think I want to do it.
You did it already. You're N equals 1 right now.
I was going to say you're patient 0.
That's right.
But I'm serious about telling Jenny and everybody about it, because this is something that is very unique and novel, and it should be at least acknowledged and put in our little reference things over here.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
I have.
The rest of you don't know what this means, but Lou and I do.
Yeah. No, I know. But I hadn't really thought about, reporting it to HealthTree, but it probably would be something that, I could find out if anybody else has had that happen.
Did they report any of the instruments just in case they arrived contaminated?
I have no idea. And after, of course, after my bone marrow biopsy, I'm sure they sterilized him and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if, knowing Dr. Hawkinson, and what a good infectious disease, he's head of it at KU. I can't imagine that he did not talk to the people involved in my bone marrow biopsy. I mean, I just can't imagine that he would just let that go.
Yeah, no, not if you said he was the head of infectious
Right.
diseases, though. Wow. You started such a flurry of writing in the comments, Lou, about all this, between the bone marrow biopsy with and without sedation and the mold. And Rick saying, yeah.
I don't do it without sedation, but I do remember certain times. I don't remember
Never.
any, but I remembered the 4 pokes. So
My first one was done by the head of the multiple myeloma research at City of Hope. And like you, she started doing 2 or 3 pokes. My patient advocates stopped the procedure because even though I wasn't screaming, I had tears streaming down my face. And she said, she can't take any more of this. So they didn't do the biopsy. I went back to Santa Barbara and they literally, like somebody said, I think as Lou said, they just put you out for 20 minutes and you'd never know what happened.
Right.
When I had it first done, they said, do you want to donate bone marrow? I said, sure. Not thinking, no, we've got to do it twice on you without anesthetic. And I came back and I'll tell you what, I after that, I said, that is it. I'm getting anesthetized because I've had 8 of them.
I've had about 21.
And like cheese.
21.
I've had 20. Every time I go in, they'll say, we remember you. And I go, yeah, this is number 21.
It's like a Subway card. Do I get my 5th free? Because I'm in the biopsy club.
I'll be so glad when they can do things through the blood. You know,
They're
when
working on it.
Really come up and perfect that.
They've got it perfected for CLL and leukemia, but they don't have it perfected for multiple myeloma.
I can't wait.
Well, I don't know how many I've had, countless, and they've tried to convince me that they don't give sedation at Dana.
If your insurance covers it, bullshit. That is absolutely bullshit.
And they tried to tell me that I was suffering from anxiety, that it wasn't painful.
Yeah,
Right.
That's why I want to get my oncologist. Say, let me do it to you.
When they say that. I said, yeah. I said, have you, to the nurse practitioner, I was like, or physician's assistant, I've forgotten which it was. I said, I wanted to say, let me give you one right now and you tell me, right? And I said, have you ever had, but I said instead, have you ever had one? No.
And you can't move. And then when they break it, I mean, these people have no idea.
I had one without sedation, the very first one, and it was awful. And the next ones I said, I will not. I mean, give me sedation.
You know, it's funny because there is a rule or something. When you are wheeled into the room where they do the bone marrow biopsy, they have you hooked up, you know, to the IV for conscious sedation if that's what you've signed up for. And I talk to all of the nurses and I say to them, you know, I know you have a rule that you cannot start the conscious sedation until the doctor comes, you know, the anesthesiologist comes into the room. And I said, which is fine. I said, but please start it before he starts the lidocaine shot. The lidocaine shot hurts like hell. I mean, it alone is painful and it burns as it goes in. And I said, I'm getting conscious sedation. I would think that it would be great if you guys could start it before I get that lidocaine shot. Because that hurts. And
when
I said,
I have conscious sedation, they don't give me the lidocaine.
I've always get the lidocaine shot. Anyway,
Really? I was on it when I didn't get sedation.
I told them, I said, I will yell I said, I have been known to holler. I said, just be forewarned, if you don't start the IV quick enough so that by the time the doctor starts his stuff with the needle, I will yell. And I said, it is not conscious, because I'm starting to feel some of the sedation. I said, but if it hurts, I don't stay quiet. I said, I yell. And so they look at me like, wow, is this a crazy woman? And I don't care.
A whole new side of you, Lou, I didn't know was there.
I'm just being totally honest.
What really hurts is the drill.
Oh, no, I'd never do that. Oh, my
The
God.
drill the size of your finger, they do for me.
Oh, my God.
I saw it. I said, is that a Black and Decker?
The
Oh,
hospital, they did drill.
I was like a hole punch thing. I said, holy shit. So
no way.
there's a needle and then there's a saw thing. Like
Well, it's the
drill a
drill and the
burrow.
trocar that have to get in through the bone, and
Put me
then
in
the
a
needle
lock.
goes in the hole.
The drill is actually easier than what they screw in.
Yeah, the screw
Oh.
in's a trocar, and the other one's a drill.
Yeah, the drill is a lot better, I'll tell you.
Oh,
I don't know. It doesn't
never
sound.
get that feeling.
Well, I was
Oh,
under
Lynn, that's terrible.
sedation, but with the drill.
From my experience, I've had like 4 bone marrow transplant biopsies, and one of them was very uncomfortable, and the other ones were just mildly uncomfortable. They gave me lidocaine, and I tolerated it pretty good.
He's tough.
So everybody has a different pain level.
I'm not tough. And I tell them this, everybody who comes into the pre-operation room thing, I tell them, I am a big baby. And I said, I have been known to yell if it hurts. I said, so please, please start that drip before the procedure starts. That's all I ask,
Well, if I'm having surgery or whatever, and they're going to give the big IV deal, I have them started in my port because that's very easy. And I said, you can put the IV in after I'm asleep.
Yeah, mine's already hooked up to the port. They
Well,
use the port already.
but when you have surgery, sometimes they want to have a regular IV too.
Mhm.
And I'll tell them I do not want that regular IV until I'm asleep.
Okay.
I learned that next time I will ask.
I'm doing okay.
I hope that you
You
continue.
You have to be in Salt Lake City in July.
That's right.
Who am I going to pal around with?
That's right. Sally and I got to sit next to each other at most of the training. It was really great.
It was fun.
What training?
We're
For my
both myeloma coaches.
coaches
Oh, nice.
Nice.
for Health Tree.
I actually got to sit next to Jenny and her husband at dinner one night.
Oh, that was that had to have been wonderful.
Health tree.
Absolutely. It was. It was. I know I told you I'd met her at ASH another time, but this I got to be, we were sitting right next to each other. So, and she's doing so well, but has had.
Yeah, did you talk to her about becoming a coach for AML?
No,
or CLL, I mean?
That would be that's potentially in the future.
Right, because we're doing AML now.
Right.
And they're supposed to be starting CLL by March.
Oh, really?
They didn't say it would be that soon.
You're not on the inside track.
No.
They changed over part of the website today.
Say that one more time about the website.
They've changed over some of they're completely changing the browser, the website, everything. Our complete system is changing. It's driving us crazy. But
Health Tree,
they changed over some of it today.
To add in CLL?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I know a lot
Yeah.
of the coaching stuff has been changed.
She told me to give it a little time, and I know her husband was mentioning how they're really trying to get a better foothold with AML. But again, then again, I'm not an insider like you said.
So
So
Well, we have to be prepared for all this stuff. So we do a lot of testing on our own. They send out the websites to us and we test them.
that the Health Tree website?
Healthtree.org. Yeah.
it's very good for multiple myeloma.
But they're going to make it for, there and so many other groups of, like solid tumor groups that want this data merging software. And, they're not going to give it up. So they want to stay with the blood cancers.
Well, they do a lot with genetics, right, as well.
What's impressive is the site for the educational videos is unbelievable. It, as a coach, you go through and you have to view certain numbers of videos for training purposes, but I go through it, most of the coaches go through more than what's required because it's so informative and it has so many areas that they cover, and they catch these doctors who are doing research in between, like you were talking, Michelle, at ASH. They catch the doctors, they get them on video, they interview them, they get answers for patients, and then they post them. And most of the videos aren't really, Sally, probably what, 5, 6, 7 minutes long?
No, 2 or 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
And there are 402 of them.
Yeah. And there's, but it is very narrow. I mean, it's focused. It's focused.
Very focused. Yeah.
So
the editing is very good.
You can search for whatever information you're looking for, if it's by specifics, whatever drugs. And so you can look it up and it goes directly, to those list of videos that you can click into and watch. I'm amazed at the number of excellent videos that they have with the doctors across the country, as well as, from other countries, Spain.
And then the news and the events, the very first page of the website, I mean, they're talking about things that happened, 3 hours ago during ASH. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
So what is ASH?
American Society of Hematology.
The big conference. Big conference.
And their annual conference is in December every year. And so it just happened. And anyway, I covered it for patient population for 6 different blood cancers. It kept me busy. But it's more in-depth interviews that they then will eventually break down into smaller ones by topic.
And HealthTree's got about 7 of them out there now. So from ASH directly. From Todd and Diane and for Jenny and, all the other people that went.
They do. Barbell, I know it is getting so late for you, but your lipstick is still looking fresh. Fresh as a daisy. You do it.
Put it on.
But I know that you had wanted you said a few minutes. What is happening with you? And have you had bone marrow biopsies, by the way?
I had a bone marrow biopsy as well, but I was only anesthesia locally, so no sedation. And actually, I keep my mind off the subject. I talk about other things with the doctor, and then it's not that bad. If you concentrate on it, your muscles get stiff, and I think it hurts a lot more. If you expect it not to hurt, then it doesn't hurt that much, I find.
Perhaps for you.
Yeah, I only had one. I had my second treatment, obinutuzumab and venetoclax, and I stopped in March last year. So I'm waiting for my immune system to recover. It hasn't recovered completely, and I think it takes about 2 years to recover if it is recovering past obinutuzumab, because it really degrades the B cells. But other than that, I'm doing fine. I have to go in every 3 months because I'm still in the CLL-13 study. So I still go in for checkups. But I'm doing a lot better than I did before. Actually, my worst time was before treatment, always, because I'm unmutated and I had so many B symptoms from the start, and nobody could figure out what it was. And the second time, they couldn't even see it in blood work, but I felt like crap. So I was really happy when they started treatment, because then I was doing better. And I'm doing okay now past treatment. I hope it lasts.
That's
Very well.
how long did you say you're off treatment now?
I stopped Venoclax in March last year, so it's going on 1 year off Venoclax, but obinutuzumab I stopped earlier.
And you were on 1 year for the Venoclax or 2?
I 15 months because it was retreatment. I had it before another treatment, but you know, the viruses. It was EB found this time. The first time it was varicella zoster who caused the CLL cells, and the second time I had the problem with the Epstein-Barr virus. So I'm really curious to see if my immune system will recover, because if it doesn't, there's always the danger that one of these viruses appears again, and the bacteria as well, because I also had a Staphylococcus epidermidis infection, which is usually on skin. But when your immune system is good, it's no danger. But when you are immune compromised, this can also cause a problem. Everything's a problem then.
Where are you, Barbell? Where are you located?
In Germany.
Germany, okay.
Yeah, in the southern part of Germany. But I'm also very active in the CLL community. I have my own page, and I advise patients already for quite a few years. And I know the doctors pretty well, even the American doctors, because I listen to their webinars and I ask questions. So I'm very well acquainted with everything.
I've seen some of your replies on the CLL Facebook page.
In several groups, you know, I have to say I was a nurse once, but that was a long time ago, about 50 years, and then I became a teacher, so I'm also a retired teacher, Lou.
Retired teacher.
We're the good ones, huh?
Well, and that's why you're so good with helping people for both of those, probably, both the nursing and the teaching.
I'm 74 now, and I think I have to use what experience I have gained during my life, and I just make something out of it. I have to shield because I'm still immune compromised, and we have so many viruses here now, RSV and flu, and I don't want any of that. But I still go out to eat, Michelle, but I always go at a time when not many people are eating, you know, like at 11:30 when they just open up and it's not that crowded. Then I still go out to eat. I do things. I invite people to my house, but I avoid large crowds though. And when I go shopping in the shopping mall, I also wear masks, of course.
And when you invite,
you still have to do something. You cannot sit at home. I mean, I've been sitting home for 3 years.
how I feel. So when you have people over, do you have the mask?
I know they are very careful when they come. And when my sons come or friends come, they test before, and they are very careful. So I'm not really scared when they come, because if they are sick, they don't show up, you know. So this works pretty good. But it's not very often that they come. My sons don't live here. They live further away, so they don't come very often. And what is really strange now during this time, I was the only one that was healthy. All my relatives were sick. Oh, even my friends were sick. My friend next door, she's younger than me, but she's so sick. I went shopping for her today and brought her something to eat.
You brought it to her. Wow.
Yeah,
Because you're
it's just the other way around. You know, I'm the sick person normally, but now I have to take care of the other one.
Well, I'm glad that you've stayed healthy through all this.
Yeah, I didn't get COVID either. I managed pretty good, I guess. I hope it stays that way.
I hope so too, for you and for those of us who haven't caught it, and that no one gets it again ever, but we just have to stay careful. I know. I think I'd written to Ashley on the side that I do think I'm going to take a risk on Saturday, but we're requesting a table away from others. They can think it's for romance if they want.
But you have to do something. You cannot stay at home. That's terrible.
I know. Jerry, did you need time to, I can't remember if you had wanted to have a few
I went
minutes.
to my oncologist yesterday and he finally came back and said, hey, I only need to see you every other month now. So
Oh,
that's
yay.
it. Oh,
That's huge progress.
yeah.
And it sounds like you're getting out now with your
Everything
twice.
tested all and everything. But I have to go I don't know whether you guys take pentamine. I have to take pentamine
I do
for
every month.
every month. And so I have to go to the hospital to do pentamine. But at least that's only, the problem I have is you go to pentamine treatment, it's 15 minutes. It takes me 4 hours plus 50-minute drive time each way, sometimes up to 4 hours, typically 3 hours, to see the nurse, see the doctor, get the blood tests. And then the pentamine adds extra time to it. So it's just kind of brutal.
Oh, I don't get any kind of test or see the doctor at all. I just have a pentamidine appointment and I go
right up to the doctor. You know, now I just go, I get to at least do it every other month. Where I have to wait into that queue because it's basically, he comes in and I said, I'm perfectly fine. It's 5 minutes and I wait 4 hours. I mean, I'm gonna, as you guys probably know, as you go, if I'm gonna get sick again, I'm gonna know I'm getting sick. You know what I mean? Because you've been through it and you know kind of what's going on. So I mean, it's great on blood tests and everything, but I know if I know if I'm good because my type of thing is it comes out very fast. And you go to crap, you go to hell in 3 weeks for my thing. It's not long drawn out of anything. So
No, you've been through it, you know the signs.
yeah, so I'm just glad I don't have to, because I mean, driving downtown Detroit is just like, I call it the suicide steel salmon run because everybody just goes 90 miles an hour. And it's crazy. It's crazy
Percy?
with the roads, the way people drive. They just drive really, really fast. And when it gets crowded, everybody's jockeying around. And I, it's been so long because I've done so much stuff virtually. I haven't, I think I maybe drive, I don't know, 4,000 miles in a year. So I don't drive much, let alone go into any kind of heavy duty traffic or rush hour traffic with these people because they got to drive so far. And it's really in the heart of a city. And it's not a good part of the city. So
I've learned with Dallas, I don't have to go the freeway to get to downtown to the hospital. So
yeah, for me, it's 50 minutes freeway.
And how many miles away is it, Jerry?
About 38 miles.
23.
Not
Then you
bad.
go into the city and it takes you, but as I said, it's at least now I got to go every other month, which is also, it's good. And they're going to start taking me off of, the only thing I'm really on anymore is Jakafi, which is, they use it for a graft versus host disease, man. So they're talking
I'm on
about
that too.
that now. Pardon?
How long do you have to stay on it, Jerry?
I've been on it for, let's see, 9 months. and it's just basically the skin. I had the DNA of a 22-year-old Norwegian girl or something, and the deal is her skin attacks my skin, and so I just have skin issues. That's pretty much the only issue I got. And so they use that Jacophy to keep the tissue attacking a tissue under control, because I was a mess. I was like level 3 out of 4 for the disease, and I mean it was misery with it. It's kind of like shingles, but it's like you fell into poison ivy with shingles. It's it really messes up your skin.
And Ashley, how long were you on it?
A couple of years.
Did they wean you off of it? Did they just kind of cut your dosage in half when they started to move you off?
You would taper off of it. I'm not off of it, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure you would taper slowly to make sure that you don't get such withdrawal. I imagine. I don't know. I had well, technically it was mild, but I felt like it wasn't mild.
But they said it was mild. They told you
They
that.
said it was mild. Yeah, they
That's
did.
because it wasn't happening to them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because I was a level 3 out of 4, and so I had it
Wow.
all over. I mean, I was doing cortisone, everything, but the Jacophy really knocked it out. I was really
Yeah, I had it in my joints.
Yeah, same thing. It's like you get up and it's brutal for joints and everything too. I have joints as well, but the skin was, and I could put up with the joints. The skin was
No,
brutal.
I can't put up with the joints. It was awful.
Was it?
Thankfully, I don't have that issue anymore.
That just went away?
Well, I took prednisone and I was also on cyclosporin,
Yeah, I
and
couldn't take.
then yeah, so it went away eventually.
Is that why you had to have surgery? Because of
No,
okay.
I had to have surgery because of the prednisone.
That's
I was on such a high dose that it caused avascular necrosis.
what was from that.
How much were you on?
A
How much
lot.
milligrams?
I don't remember. This is when I was first diagnosed, so everything is kind of a blur. So I don't know, but it was very high dose, and I think I was on it for a month or two.
Yeah.
What kind of treatment are you taking?
Right now, I'm not on treatment. I'm just on immunosuppressant. I had ALL, so
Okay, well,
acute
that's different then.
leukemia, so it's different. Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything they wanted to share or ask? 'Cause it's getting really late, and I know I'm now very late for my meds, for my calibrutinib. So, is there anything else that anyone would like to share tonight or ask? Our next meeting is February, I looked it up, 3rd, Thursday, February 3rd, always the first Thursday of the month. I thank you all. This has been a great meeting. It's been a long meeting, but time flew. Oh gosh. When do you sleep, Barbell? It's 4:11 a.m. in Germany.
Now.
February 2nd.
4 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you
But
so much.
I'm not working, so no problem.
Ode to retirement.
All right.
That's the fun of retirement.
Thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of the month.
Yes, you all too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
Lynn. I
you.
hope your
Bye-bye.
Saturday shows
Take
up.
care, Joe.